In the course of the interrogations at UST, the so-called supernatural manifestations surrounding Teresing reoccurred. Sister Stephanie, who had previously witnessed other phenomena, was not surprised.
Nung isang hapon, during meditation, nasa UST kami, nakita ko uneasy. Nakahiga pero bumangon, lumakad ganyan, ganyan sa paikot-ikot sa kama. Nandoon siya, nandito ako, nandito altar namin, yung iron chair, nandiyan, biglang, para ba yung hinawakan mo't hinyampas mo sa floor? Nagulat ako kung ano makita ko yun. Kasi sister, bakit? Di makita ko siya, maputlang, takbo agad ako. Hindi pagkaganoon ano na hinawakan ko, hiniga ako sa kama. Sir, bakit? Whenever I meditate on our blessed Virgin, he appears, that big black man. Sabi ko, siguro na nabunggo yung chair.
She saw further evidence of what Teresing claimed was diabolical harassment.
Yung isang umaga, nagsimba. Pagdating namin sa room, nagalisin ng habit, yun lang parang gown niya at saka yung petticoat. Ayun yan. Sabi, sister, punta lang ako sa toilet. Sabi ko, hindi, sa karkula ko, hindi pa nakakarating sa loob ng toilet. Lumabas agad, tumindig sa pinto. Sabi, sister, sabi makita, tinuro sa akin yung tali ng petticoat niya. Naglilingas, yung dalawang lulot. Ako, hindi ginanya ko agad. Tapos, inipon ko yung abo. Dapat ikot-ikot daw yung devil, yung big black man na yun. Nahawakan yung nakalawit na string ng petticoat.
It was also at UST that Teresing saw Mother Cecilia once more. Monsignor Santos, who visited Teresing in between her harrowing interrogations, comforted and even fed her when she was too tense to eat, asked if she would like to see the prioress again.
Hindi na ho. Ang layo naman ng haro. Para siguro to console me kasi nga iyak ako ng iyak. To console me naman siguro, he offered. Kasi hindi na ho, nalayo naman ng haro. Sabi ko gano'n. Sabi niya, hindi, malapit lang. Is she sick? I said, hindi, she's just near you. Oh, yes, of course. I said, I want to see her. So he brought me to the next room. Yung pala, Mother Cecilia was already there for 10 days din. See, just next my room. I went inside. And I saw her sitting on the bed, facing the wall. And so Bishop Santos said, "Oh, Mother, andito si Sister Teresita." Tinanong ko sa kanya if she wants to see you. Oo. So, ito siya. Ganyan. I kissed her. Walang response. So, Mother, I said, I am here. Maybe she got a shock or what, I do that. Mother, I said, nandito na ako. Sabi kong gano'n. Kaya nga mag-usap tayong dalawa. I was telling her that way. Walang response. So, Cardinal Santos left us. Sabi niya, baka si Mother kaya gano'n because he is present. So, he left us and he told us, I'll give you half an hour, 30 minutes to chat. So, I sat beside her and then I embraced her. No response. So, Mother, I said, naku naman, this good na nga. I'm very happy that I saw you. You are pala here in UST. Wala ring response. Then, finally, I said, alis na lang ako. I'll go na lang. I said, because you might be tense because I'm here. Anyway, I cannot talk to you. You don't like to talk to me. So, I will go na lang. I told Mother Cecilia that. Now, if during our time when I was there, during your being prioress, Mother, I said, if I had given you headaches or if I had done something wrong, ngayon, I'm asking you pardon and forgiveness, I said. So, I will go na. And when I said that, then she started to cry. And she embraced me tightly and she started to cry. I said, sige, iyak na kayo. It's better if you cry. I said, it's always better. Okay. And then, she told me, you know, you tell the sisters that to pray very, very much for me. Because hirap na ako. Sabi niya, you know, I am not even allowed to join the community acts, the office, anything. She was always down in the infirmary. But I said, Mother, why did you not ask them if you can join? No, I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed, Teresita. Sabi niya, that is why you have to pray very much for me and tell the sisters to pray very, very much for me. So, yes, Mother, I said. No, I only want to tell you one thing, she said. If you still consider me as your mother prioress, I forbid you to use any instrument of penance that you used to ask from me. Because you have to preserve your health because of Mama Mary's case. That is not only our cause, but it is purely on Mama Mary's cause. Dumating na si Monsignor Santos. And she saw both of us were crying. Oh, sige, Mother, I will take Sister Teresita to her room. So, I kissed her, no? And then I knelt, and yung mga prioress, it's at night time, ganyan ako. And then, all right, Mother, we will be very, very united with our prayers, sacrifices, and everything, I said.
The next day, Teresing was scheduled to return to Lipa and asked Monsignor Santos if she could say goodbye to Mother Cecilia. But she was told that the prioress was no longer there. She had already been taken to the airport.
Sister Bernadette Bautista, one-time official chronicler of the Lipa community, shed some light on what may have transpired in UST. The former infirmarian Mother Marianne Cuna had been banished to Lawag and suffered the same fate as Mother Cecilia.
Mother Marianne told me that she was brought to UST and there she met Mother Mary Cecilia. And they were questioned by Father Blas about the event of Lipa. And according to her, they were accused by a former sister in Lipa. I think a novice, but she didn't mention me the name.
Mother Cecilia would continue to suffer from the ignominy of her banishment from Lipa.
I could sense and I could feel within myself that she is suffering interiorly.
Sister Bernadette Castillo's testimony and that of the other members of the Carmelite convent in Haro, Iloilo, substantiates Teresing's account of Mother Cecilia's anguish.
When she came here to Haro Carmel, she was still not so thin, but after a while, after some time, she became really very thin and almost emaciated because she eats very little, and she was not coming along with us during community acts. After our meals, she goes out, and then afterwards, she just retires to her room in the infirmary.
Beside being barred from the recitation of the divine office and participation in community acts, there were reports that the prioress was reduced to the status of that of a scullery maid at Haro Carmel.
I knew her before I entered Carmel. She was a person so alive, full of life, and always joyful. But when she came here, there was no more life in her.
And yet, despite these rather severe deprivations and her apparent distress, the Carmelite nuns would remember that Mother Cecilia never showed any signs of bitterness or anger. Our interviews with the Carmelite community of Haro revealed that they too were witness to strange and unexpected events. Sister Mary Tayamora, the first Filipina to enter Carmel and now 82 years old, keenly remembers that period in their community life. Too shy to appear on camera, she nevertheless testified that on many an early morning she would see Mother Cecilia in the kitchen burning little pieces of paper, and one afternoon she and some other nuns were present when a shower of petals fell within the confines of the infirmary. The sisters had excitedly gathered up the petals, but the former prioress maintained her composure, and when pressed for a reaction, quietly said, "I feel so happy because our Blessed Mother is still following me." Apart from what looked like a deliberate dispersal of the main witnesses and advocates of Lipa, and the intimidation and coercion reportedly used by the interrogators on the visionary and the other nuns, there are indications that the official church investigation was a rather hurried, slipshod affair, generally wanting in thoroughness.
Bishop Versosa, for instance, was never questioned, and, more importantly, neither was Bishop Oviar, who would, till his dying day, wait for official church representatives to come for his testimony. Francisco Di Chanco, head of the Lipa Marian Research Center, which at one time spearheaded a campaign that tried to have the case reopened, cites yet another serious oversight on the part of the commission.
For example, from Mrs. Mendoza, of Paco, and also from Sister Melania Sunga of Candon, Ilocos Sur. And I asked them if they were investigated, those miracles were investigated, and they said never. So I presume that those who investigated Lipa only asked questions from the sisters and never investigated any of the miracles.
On April 6, 1951, only 2.5 years after the reported apparitions, the Philippine hierarchy pronounced its verdict. There was no supernatural intervention in the events that occurred at Carmel of Lipa. The decision was signed by 6 bishops: Gabriel M. Reyes, then Archbishop of Manila; Cesar M. Guerrero, Bishop of San Fernando; Mariano Madriaga, Bishop of Lingayen; Juan C. Sison, Auxiliary Bishop of Nueva Segovia; Vicente P. Reyes, Auxiliary Bishop of Manila; and surprisingly, Rufino Santos, Apostolic Administrator of Lipa. All of these bishops have since passed away, but there are testimonies to the effect that they may have been ill-prepared to sign such a document.
You ever get to talk to any of them, or were they?
Yes. Only one, because at that time, 1982, only one was living, and that was Bishop Reyes of Cabanatuan. Vicente Reyes. And I asked him, how did you arrive to that decision? He told me, I was a young bishop then. I was called to the Arzobispado in Intramuros at 9 o'clock in the morning. We had that conference there. At around 3 o'clock, we signed the documents that it was not true. I asked him, did you investigate yourself, Your Excellency? No, he said. There was a body, a commission, who investigated.
Terracing states that she was never called to face or be interrogated by the bishops. Neither was she ever interrogated by the Carmelite fathers sent from Rome. Di Chanco discloses that there are also some indications of coercion.
At least one bishop there was confessed that he was forced to sign.
Mother Mary Margaret of the Sacred Heart, prioress of Angeles Carmel, reveals that Bishop Guerrero often expressed his disappointment over the turn of events.
He did not make much statement about it because it was forbidden by the church. But then we knew from his talks from that, but privately, that he was he approved that happening in Lipa. He find it supernatural.
Bishop Cesar Guerrero used to come here every year. on the 21st of November, he used to come here to pay his respect to our Blessed Mother. And he says Mass. After he saying Mass, he used to see the community. I was then a very young novice. And I remember in one of his visits, he said that, you know, I am really waiting for the approval of Our Lady. I really believe. But I was forced to sign the document against Our Lady. He was crying when he told us that. Not really crying, but I saw tears in his eyes.
Jesuit priest Father Lorenzo Maria Guerrero, who headed the Apostleship of Prayer for 29 years, and then went on to head the Marian movement of priests in the Philippines, disclosed that his uncle, Bishop Cesar Guerrero, revealed as he lay dying that he had been forced into signing the final verdict on Lipa. Moreover, Bishop Guerrero stated that he believed in the veracity of the apparitions. Father Guerrero has since suffered a debilitating stroke, but in his desire to set the record straight, has signed his official testimony to this effect. Father Guerrero, is this your signature?
Yes, yes,
Do you attest to the authenticity and veracity of this account?
yes, very much.
To the best of your knowledge, was this your uncle's deathbed confession?
Yes,
And Bishop Guerrero was already in Hospicio de San Jose because he was living there, no? And once in a while, Bishop Obiar, we go there to visit him. And he always talk about the petal. The same thing with the late Archbishop. All the other one who signed is Archbishop Juan Sison of Bigan. The same thing with Sison. All these bishops have signed, they never did away with the petal that they got. The sisters gave them.
Mother Therese recounts that Bishop Guerrero made a rather enigmatic revelation.
I was transferred in 1956 to Angeles Carmel as subprioress. Now, every now and then, he became the bishop of San Fernando. He used to visit us. And one day when he was talking to us, we were talking about Lipa, and he said, I always go there every November 21. Someday the truth will come.
He said that. Did he ever indicate that he believed that it would be,
Not exactly, but as he was explaining what happened, I don't know if I should tell it, but
sige na.
sabi niya, it's the 4th of that month. But he did not mention it. I don't know, he did not tell the name.
A reliable source testifies that Bishop Patrick Shanley of Isabela was reportedly so disgusted by the conduct of the investigation and the manner in which certain church officials influenced the outcome of the verdict. In a fit of anger, he denounced the proceedings and revealed that the bishops had been forced to sign the verdict by the papal nuncio upon the pain of excommunication.
What kind of a man was Monsignor Vannozzi?
Well, he was a handsome man and strong-willed.
He was a very intelligent person. He was very well prepared. He was a workaholic. Took very little time off for vacation and relaxation. He also was rather intolerant sometimes of mistakes. He always wanted results, and in the process sometimes became a little rough.
He became one of the most influential cardinals we ever had. He's very impulsive, That's why he had many friends here in the Philippines, but he also had so many enemies, I would say.
Bishop Pedernal adds that Vannozzi did not believe the reported apparitions at Lipa to be authentic.
And he said that it was a kind of in Spanish they say parang invento, no? Invention of the sisters.
If he had indeed threatened the Philippine hierarchy with excommunication, as some testimonies indicate. Did Vanyosi overstep the bounds of his authority? For a papal legate functions as an ambassador. His duties are normally that of liaison between the Vatican and the Philippine government and hierarchy.
The nuncio has no. When it comes to jurisdiction, the nuncio has no jurisdiction whatsoever to any bishop. It is set, as you know, I hope you know, that the setup of the Catholic Church, that every bishop in his diocese is only responsible directly to the Pope, not to the nuncio. A bishop of, for example, of San Pablo has no, is not responsible to Cardinal Sin, even he is the Archbishop, but it's only to the Holy Father, direct to the Holy Father.
I think he shouldn't have interfered with the matter of the petals. That should have been done by the Philippine hierarchy, by the bishops.
Is it possible that they would have signed because they were afraid?
It is possible, yes. It is possible that a white man in those times had a superiority, either real or supposed, over the Filipinos, because you were still so close to the times of colonialism.
Bishop Pedernal, however, indicates that the considerable influence of Monsignor Rufino Santos cannot be discounted.
Bishop Oviar.
Oviar.
Yeah, a good friend of Bishop Guerrero.
Yes.
And he said, "Oh, why did you sign that? I know that you believe it. You always have your petal there in your." I said, in this late Guerrero said, "You don't have to sign because the cardinal said we all have to sign."
But I want to make known one thing.
Yes.
It was not Bagnosio who decided the whole thing. The Definitor Generalis of the Carmelite order was the one who investigated the whole thing. He stayed in Manila for I don't know as much as a month or 2 months. And he was in Lipa monastery every day. And he used to go to the nunciature and made his progressive report. And on the progressive report, the thing they were making is progressive report wrong. See, it was Father Michael, I think his name was Father Michael, who did all the investigation. So it was Father Michael whose decision was the overall the main factor that made him miss the decision. It was not Bagnos.
We discovered that there were documents on Lipa still in existence in the archives of the Carmelite Generalate in Rome. Armed with a letter from Archbishop Gaviola, we went to Rome with the hopes that these documents would be able to shed some light on the manner of the investigation and the reason for the verdict. Strangely enough, there was very little on file on the case of Lipa. There weren't any records of who had been sent, why, and for how long. More importantly, there wasn't even an official report from Father Michael Moylan on the nature of his investigation or the reason for the negative decision on Lipa.
It was too I would say, not to say premature, but too soon,
Apparently, many members of the church hierarchy believed in the apparitions of Mary at Lipa, but had unfortunately kept their silence. Bishop Pedernal relates the very interesting account of Monsignor Morelli, chargé d'affaires of the Holy See, prior to Monsignor Vanyosi. Pedernal had accompanied Bishop Oviar on his visit to Rome and had been present at the meeting between Morelli and Oviar.
Morelli started about this case of Lipa, and he said, "Bishop Oviar, why did the bishops in the Philippines, why did they not insist in asking the Holy Father to approve that the Virgin Mother, Blessed Mother, have gone to the Philippines, to Lipa?" Because I myself personally, before I left the Philippines, twice I experienced in Lipa what had happened in Fatima about the sunlight while I am there in Carmel. And Bishop Oviar, ordinarily I said, lumabas ang kanyang pagkabatang. He said, speaking, they were talking in Spanish, he said, "Tonteria." I said, how is this possible? You were one of those who signed that this thing about the petals and about that is foolishness. and before almost Monsignor, you know, that time I'm not a bishop, but he was insisting that I'm only a retired Monsignor. In fact, Bishop of Yar still said, you are here at the point of the nose of the Holy Father, so you tell the Holy Father, you approve that the Blessed Mother went to the Philippines, there in Lipa. He said, what can I cannot do that. I'm nothing here. I'm only praying as an old retired Monsignor, canonigo. But I say, you bishops in the Philippines, you have more influence and power to tell the Holy Father, please declare that the Blessed Mother. And so the bishop, afterwards, he was explaining, saying, you said that when you were there, you said you signed that document, that there was nothing. Now you're telling me now that you believe that the Blessed Mother went there, no? And so I was joking, Bishop of Yara, say, tama na ho, huwag na ninyong kagalitan, baka tayo hindi pa kanin. No? So during the lunch, and before we left, again, Monsignor Morelli, he pulled out from his pocket, Monsignor, this petal, which I got from Lipa during this hour, will not be, I will never separate from this petal until I die.